Hello, and welcome back to Pieces That Pat Paints. I'm Pat. I paint different types of things. It just kind of depends on what's coming through my little studio here, here in fabulous Choctaw, Oklahoma. It's been a lovely day, actually. I was outside for a while, working on my garden and all that stuff. Lots of fun. Anyway, we're back inside, and we are about to paint this Malaketh, which we've been working on painting for a while now. So, anyway, we're gonna get to it. I'm gonna grab us some music and kind of tell you about what we're doing, and then we're gonna get moving on to what we do here. So this is a model from a game. It is called Elden Ring. If you're not familiar with the game, definitely look that up. It's a pretty cool little game. Ooh, my voice is a little squeaky. Definitely been outside. Anyway, so if you're looking for a cool game to play, and you like the Dark Souls kind of games, which these guys just make they're the same people make the same game. It's a neat process, a neat little game. It looks like not exactly my style. My son has played it. He loved it. He beat it. But you know, not exactly my style of game. Very difficult from what it looks like. I like my other stuff to be difficult, not my games. Well, depends on the game. Like, I like games where I play against somebody. I like those to be a little bit more difficult. But story games, I like to be able to get to the story, even if I'm not exactly great at the game. So, and there are some games I'm just not great at, and that's okay. Totally okay with that. Anywho, that's enough about me. What about you? Feel free to say something in the comments. So we did a little bit of work on our brush, like I said, so we could get our bristles back underlined from using our metallic paints. You kind of want to go through them pretty regularly, make sure there's no flecks of metallic. There's still even maybe a little bit in there. I might have to do it again tonight, and that's alright. We'll do that again, no problem. Anyway, this is some ominous music. I love it. I like ominous things though. But only so much. There's a certain level of ominousness that's like, oh, that's. No, I'm just trying to worry about my sanity. All right. So, I'm glad that turned off. Hopefully it stays off for a while. That fridge really puts a damper on things. So we're trying not to paint over the gilding or the knobs the best we can. We want to get close to it. It's okay to leave almost like a little bit of blackness around it, but not too much. When we come back with this wash, it's really gonna finish a lot of things up for us, and part of that is going to be taking care of those little grooves. We'll probably come back and repaint a lot of these rivets because they will probably get obscured. The reason I haven't painted this yet is that he sits on his back a lot, and I don't want to strip the paint off of it quite yet. We'll probably be getting closer to doing that when we're able. I may actually do all this. I may leave this one because when he sits like right on that thing, and I don't want to get the paint rubbed off. I also hold on to that a lot. That and this headpiece. The headpiece doesn't matter if it gets rubbed. That's fine. But your other parts, you kind of you don't want them getting too rubbed on. The headpiece, we're actually probably going to sand up a little bit when we glue it so that it will hold the contacts really well. We don't want that glue to interfere with it gluing onto, or we don't want the paint. We don't want the paint to interfere with the glue. That is what I'm trying to say. I think that's, to me, I love the live aspect of it because of the strange flubs you get. I think that's pretty funny. I don't know that everybody does, but that's okay. I think the goal is to just use this vlog as a way to stay productive with studio work, and then get the studio making money painting these commissions. It is a very slow process. Much like the gardening that I've been doing, very slow. You till the soil, you plant the crops, you wait for the weeds to start popping up, you get rid of the weeds, then you till the crops, and then you you till the weeds up. Not even really tilling. Today I was raking with a hand rake, a small little rake, and kind of clawing at the paths in between the plants themselves. So we're just going to go ahead, and while I'm going to put this guy in a little bit more soap, since there was that little bit of gold fleck. So we're just going to put a little bit more in there. That's okay. And if it is a little dirty, that's alright. Some of that's probably from my water over there. I was cleaning these out earlier today, so my water's not the freshest, but this will help get that last little bit out. And we're going to let it sit for a little while. I let it sit for like 20 minutes this morning when I came in. As a matter of fact, what am I doing? I already cleaned this one. Let's get it working and see how it goes before we mess with it again. Anyway, we need this guy. Anyway, I came in here to get him cleaned up real good, so we had it ready to go. And you can almost see how that's much better of a point. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but it is a better point. Hopefully, that will help us as we work on this. Okay, so boom, 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 boom. We're on this one. Probably could have kept that other brush going, but I thought I was in the thinner places. Maybe I should do the other arm. Alright. And this one's split again. It's splitting a little bit too. Not as bad as it was yesterday. So they definitely were in need of some maintenance. And that's one of those things that, like, you really should know when you're going into buying your brushes. Are you the kind of person that wants to clean them on a regular basis? Do you find that kind of work too tedious? Or is it something you're like, oh yeah, no, I kind of like taking care of my stuff? And that's probably the best question to ask. Because if you're into taking care of your stuff, you're probably going to do better. Or maybe you even have a place where, like, you can't really guarantee that you can keep your stuff taken care of. Like when I had little kids, we had a lot more synthetic brushes. Just because the kids have a tendency to, just kind of grab things, not paying attention to what they're doing. They see a paintbrush, they don't see that this paintbrush costs a lot more than that paintbrush. Until they get a little older. My kids are definitely starting to learn the difference now that they're old enough to use some of the better things for certain projects. I guess that's part of the fun of having artsy kind of parents. Is that when there's a project, you can just kind of be like, "Hey, Dad, can you help me do this? I know you have like the coolest stuff to do it with." And I go, "Oh yes, let's do it." Alright, so we let that sit for just a little bit. It's a little gooey. We're gonna clean this up so we can't get some quicker work done here. Now that we are past those smaller panels, trying to get in here and go a little bit faster. Just gotta take your time, get through those spots, pay close attention to where you're going. You don't want to run right through your gilding. We do want to take care of any of the little blemishes that we may have created along the way. So we are riding a pretty fine edge. That is a funky little angle to get after. I have to look through his armpit. Make sure I got it all. Some opportunities for some touch up with that bronze right here. All places maybe we missed, or I didn't quite. Some of it's some of it is I didn't quite get enough color on it. Just needs a little extra hit before we move on. The front panels. There's a tiny little one right there. And sometimes I just clean miss them. I'm getting better at it again. When I was painting all the time, before I became a chef, I was a whole lot better at just kind of going and cranking them out at high ends or at high ends at high speeds. Thought I heard a big truck. They moved on. I gotta be careful sometimes. They show up and my dog's out. I gotta go get my silly dog. So I'm like, come on, dog. They don't wanna. They're here delivering a package. She's just doing her job though. But she still gotta go and be like, hey, chill out, dog. Didn't feel quite wet enough. Use a little bit of water. It has been sitting for a minute. And this stuff is, as long as the palette stays hydrated, this stuff sticks around for a long time. These thicker acrylics. It's one of the advantages of using them. But they did not have the color I wanted. So I had to get one. Because it was definitely one of those, I don't really want to do that by hand all the time. Try and keep track of the color itself. If it's on a small piece, it's not a big deal. But on a larger piece like this, it's definitely it's just gonna make it crazy. And now that we have it, we'll be able to use it for whatever we need, which is a bonus. That's a little bit more of that cult of the hidden paint, but whatever. Oh. Slipped right in my hand. What was it? Working on this arm. Well, here. Really need to decide whether or not we want to make that fully a bronze bit or what. It's so strangely made. It's hard to tell. But again, like I've said this a few times, when you watch the game footage, it's kind of hard to tell exactly what this area looks like. So you kind of have to not let yourself get caught up in it. Kind of just make some decisions. It's not going to be something that's looked at a lot anyway. It's kind of up underneath a bunch of stuff, and it's on the back. So don't stress it too much and get your job done. Because you're, you know, typically you have some other things you've got to get accomplished in life. You can't sit around worrying about this forever. I mean, I suppose you could, but you shouldn't. So much gilding. Oh yeah, I like the way that's breaking up his fur. That's great. We are cruising right along here. It's gonna look great. Really excited to see this thing with the wash on it. Maybe a little bit wetter. I'm gonna pull the rest of that in. And I'll make sure our brush is pretty wet for that. Good thing we got some big spaces to fill here. That when you do that, it puts a lot of paint on the brush, which is fine if you've got plenty of room to use it. That's another thing about brush size to remember, is like how much paint do you need this to be? Do you need to be on the brush to get it done? You know, so if what you're painting, it seems like you're wiping off a lot of your paint off your brush to do what you want to do, you are using the wrong side. You're using the wrong side of the brush most likely. I mean, there might be a few occasions where that's not true, but for the most part, if it's not holding enough paint on the brush for what you're trying to do, you need a bigger brush. Or if you're transversely, if you're not able to keep enough paint on the brush, is that what I just said? If you got too much, then you need to go down a brush. Too little up a brush, and too much down a brush. Oof, my brain got a little puddingy. Right. I promise I know what I'm talking about. I just sometimes get a little lost in what I'm saying. Wait, size matters? In painting it does. In certain things, size matters a lot. Like really big cucumbers and squash are terrible. They're just not good. So might as well just bust them up and put them back in the garden and let them grow next year. But like certain things are big. A big watermelon, that's pretty tasty. And brush sizes definitely matter. You gotta have the right, it's like Scotty said, you gotta have the right tool for the right job. You know. Good Lord. There's so much armor. So much to armor. This is another good place where we're going to be able to cover up some of our spots on his fingers and things. Even this all out a little bit. Make it look more conducive to what we wanted. It's a very difficult paint job to do in there with all these parts of this hand. But I think as you can see, the technique I chose to do with this works out really well. We need to switch down to our small brush again, just to drop these details in. See, like that's a gash in the armor, so we want to make sure there's we don't have no exposed bronze there. Kind of get that masked up. There might be a few little overpaints while we were putting the bronze on, so just make sure. We're gonna come back. I'm probably gonna touch this bronze up a little bit too. Probably need to kind of do it a little bit as we're going. just so we don't forget about it later on down the line. Remember, that's a gash. Come down here, make sure everything looks good. Tighten it the way we want. Okay. Yeah, that hand's looking primo. Kind of hard to get it to focus on that little bitty hand. I always like that stuff to be like way up in the camera. But then it gets hard to paint this big old. It makes my arms really tired. It makes my poor hands tired. I wonder how I knew I had arthritis. It's like, ooh, that's probably arthritis pain. Holding on to heavy things. I started in the kitchen now. I can feel it in the kitchen. Having to do butchery and stuff like that. Make my hand hurt. And again, with these fingers, we could have painted them all just one solid color. But I like having the segment of it. It really helps kind of make the fingers stand out, the individual digits. Yeah, another thing that might be messing with your paints though is how thick you have or thin you have them. So if it's not the thickness of the paint itself, then it's the brush. If you're like, oh, I've thinned out my paints out, it still seems like it dries up too fast. Well, oh, that's definitely the brush. I'm mostly talking about when you have your paints thinned out properly. They should go on smooth, but you don't want them so thin that you can't actually see them. Alright, now if I remember right, this part to his sword was like a silver ball. It's starting to bother me that it's not done. So, where'd my silver go? It is. So we're gonna just hold silver, straight silver. It's gonna be so much brighter than all this other metal. It's super bright. What? Now this silver is typically a two-coat affair. we might put this base coat on, and then when we do the wash, we'll come back and add a whole nother full coat. And then wash it again. We may have to do 2 washes on the silver to get it to come out right. It just kind of depends. This one's got a lot of texture to it, so it might be alright. I need to figure out what the rest of that sword looks like too. I don't know what this handle and it looks like. The hilt looks like it's the same as this, but I don't want to paint it and then I'll be wrong. I've been focusing on the armor, watching it as of late. I've been focusing as much on the sword because I knew I was coming back this way. There we go. Let that set. I guess we're onto this side. Swing on through. Swing on through. There we go. And a little bit more water. Of course, now the dog wants in. You're just gonna have to wait. We still got about 20 minutes. For anybody who hasn't watched this show, we usually run about an hour. After that, my old hands get a little tired. My old voice gets a little tired. I feel like people might get bored, you know, on the rewatch. Because we have a lot of folks who watch this after it's been filmed, so it feels like an hour is a pretty good amount of time to waste on people's time. I don't think it's a waste. I'm just being funny. Just for anybody who might be listening. I do enjoy doing it. It's a lot of fun. Well, that's Amazon, so I have to get this dog. She was very proud of herself. She, yeah, felt very triumphant. Okay, where were we? Little bit by little bit. Itchy on the nose there. Alright, now we're going to do the inside parts. Heck yeah, we're cruising. Liking that. Liking that. Mm-hmm. This one seemed like it was a whole lot easier than the other one. Huge difference when you have a giant armpit in the way. And you don't. You have a giant armpit in the way. Looks like we missed a little bit of bronze right here. We'll come back and take care of that later. I'm going to get the rest of this stuff knocked out and we'll come back with that bronze. Here's one of those whirls. I don't know if you can actually pick it up on the camera, but there's a whirl from the printing right here. And it just kind of goes out. You might be able to see it. But, like I said, sometimes you can sand those out. But if I'd have done that, I would have lost some of this cracked texture that's in here as well. And we might see it a little bit more when we pop the wash on, but I don't think it'll be a big deal. Again, it's one of those things that's on the back of his arm, facing away from the typical viewing angle. So it's kind of irrelevant. When they printed it, they definitely printed it from the right angle to avoid that being a big deal. Whoever printed it definitely knew what they were doing. I don't know if the person who printed it is the same person who sculpted it, but it's been nice to paint on such a well printed piece. Gotta tip your hats to the guy or gal, person. So much armor. Okay, where was I? Yep, down here. So try to keep it as organized as possible. So you can kind of start looking at it and go, like, okay, I did that, and I need to do this. I mean, there's always chances you're going to get off, but that's, you know, that happens. Distractions come. Big old sword. Oof. Big old sword. Holy Moses. Almost to the finish line on the armor. So close. I might even go ahead and do this back. Where are we at? We're at 52 minutes. Just to have it done so we can throw the washer on there when we come back on Monday. Oh wait, no, we won't be here Monday. I have to take one of my children to yet another doctor appointment. But this one's for my little guy and his yearly appointment to check for his brain tumors. He had a brain tumor when he was a child, and he survived all the stuff. And now once a year, they do a checkup, make sure everything looks good, and that is on Monday, and I have to go to do that. And it is unfortunately at 1 o'clock, so I will not be on Monday. End of school is kind of always like this, I think. The beginning and the end of school is always the craziest. Kind of doing this backwards the way I did it the other time, but that's alright. When it's bigger like this, it's a little easier to do. Oh, be careful. Don't want to get gold on too much of his fur. We can come back and do some touch-ups later, but we kind of want to leave his fur alone if we can avoid it. If we can avoid messing with it, would be best. Again, keep these guys pretty damp. Don't let your brush get too dried out. That's when it's going to the metallic will start shredding it more, and you'll spend more time doing conditioning than painting. Coming back, kind of giving some of this just a quick once over. Try. See, this one's missing some of the rivets that one has. This one gets so funky. back in frame here. See, and this is interesting where it kind of like crosses over itself a little bit. Can't exactly tell what's happening.
Apple Card is the perfect cashback rewards credit card. You earn up to 3% daily cash on every purchase.
Oh, I think we finished the... Yeah, we did. We finished that track. That's funny. Well, that's probably our cue to get this wrapped up. We are so close, though. So we're going to kind of push ahead and get this thing finished up. Or at least get the metal part done. So we can throw, like I said, well, we'll throw the wash on it. I'll probably do some off camera and then some on camera, just so you can see it. We did it before, but it is definitely a good thing to see. Now remember right here, if we make a few mistakes, it's going to be okay. We're going to come back with that dark silver and fix up any mistakes we made. Since it is kind of, the line isn't exactly clear on where it stops and starts, sometimes it's better to just go ahead and put a little bit of the bronze on there and then circle back around and fix it when you put the dark stuff in. Get it to even up or whatever you need it to do. Sometimes it's just adding more. Sometimes it's completely repainting the dang thing. Just depends. Hopefully you're not having to completely repaint something. Sometimes you do, though. That happens. Yeah, we're gonna have a lot of pictures to put on Society of the Hidden Paint. We have to come back and fix this tail. It's kind of why I didn't do this. I didn't mess with the tail yet, because I kind of had a feeling that was gonna be a little bit rough. I gotta figure out what color those are gonna be. So, well, that'll all have to be on Tuesday. I about said Monday again. On Tuesday, when we're back, we will we'll address that, I guess, and this we can finish that up. That way we get this rest of this bronze then, because gosh darn it, I want to have the rest of this bronze done at the very least. All right, there we go. Let's see if we got anything left over here that's reusable. It's starting to dry out on us. Yeah, we're still doing okay. I guess we can just keep rolling just a little bit longer. No sense in jumping off just yet. We can get this dark silver down. Make our life super easy. I think we have decided to go on gold with that other stuff. Just kind of keep working little bits at a time and pay attention to where you're at and what you're doing. And don't be afraid if you make a little mistake. It's just gonna happen. Well, you can just fix it. Good thing about the metallics being on top of the metallics is that it does kind of lend itself to being repaired pretty quickly and easily, or repainted, whatever you want to call it. You're not actually breaking anything, so repair seems a little like a drastic word. So, again, you could use an airbrush. Metallics and airbrushes sometimes aren't exactly friends, but we could airbrush this whole thing a metallic and then come back and paint it a completely different way. You know, but not everybody's got access to those sort of things. I think we did do some airbrushing on it, but just to get some of the black into the spaces it needed to be. When we did the primer, sometimes you know, your old rattle can just doesn't quite get exactly everywhere it needs to go. So you want to just pull in your airbrush and knock it out on occasions. On occasions. Oh, she's got me breathing heavy. There we go. Alright. And then that's definitely obscured by his cave. I think actually the cave sits in that hole. There's that, there's that. Let's go ahead and drop this gold in real quick. And then when we come back next week, we can actually start a little bit of a fresh palette. We're going to work on his sword. Yeah, well, I like the idea of that being gold. That's exactly what we want. That's really going to help all this stand out. It's those color breaks sometimes that you just really need. And the yellow of this gold is going to be perfect. May take more than one coat to get it on here, kind of like with the silver, but that gold is going to be a good color for it. No, not the bronze. Le gold. Like I said, this is a much more like brighter yellower gold. The bronze has a very different look, especially in large amounts. So yeah, that's good. That's going to be a great look. Make this up a little bit more too. All right. We might have to come back next week and touch these guys up just a bit before we put the wash on them, but maybe not. Just have to wait and see. Yep. Heck yeah. Alright, well, we're going to let him dry. And then we'll do up the rest of his. I guess we probably should set him like this so that it can dry. Because we don't want that rubbing. And it'll rub if we leave it sitting down. So next week we got a couple things to do. We're out. We finally ran through all that. So we'll have to come back. We've got to do his face and get this fit and get this set up like that, and then finish the rest of this handle, and then we'll be able to drop our wash on. So I gotta look up the handle. So finally, definitely at that point. If I remember right, there was some work on this cloak. It's some golden stuff. So I'm not exactly sure what we do. We may just ring it in gold and then color the cloak a certain way. We'll have to take a look at what exactly I feel like we can or want to do, and then get that thing done. Especially since it's behind. Again, it's behind him. It's not in the normal viewing area, so it's not gonna make that big of a deal. Anyway, looking great. Very excited. Excited to have all that armor part done. It was a bear. Anyway, we're gonna see you guys on Tuesday for another episode of Pieces Pat Paints, where I paint pieces for you, the audience, and you get to watch and judge me. You get to do that. You don't have to judge me, but you can if you want. I know it's okay. I don't mind. Anyway, hope you guys had a great time. I always have a good time, and we're gonna talk to you guys in just a few short days. Have a good one. Bye.